Today we're going to be going over a real life example with the almost identical products of what it takes to make up $1 million brand on Amazon, so you can have it in your mind and see that end goal of where you're trying to strive towards. Now, the goal of this video for me is to break down the concept in your head, as I'm sure when you heard me say that $1 million brand, you had a little, or you had that thought saying, yeah, like, okay, this would be cool to see, but there's no way that I could ever do that. But I'm sure you're gonna be surprised by the products that are made up in this brand and how much money they're actually making each month and how achievable it is actually for you to do. And I'm sure that in some point in your life, you had somebody plant the idea in your head, and maybe it wasn't always done with a negative intention, but it was planted there of what a good amount of money was. Growing up, we always saw in the movies and in the shows what the rich man or what the wealthy person looked like, and I'm sure your mind went straight to it, and they were the evil villain who was super ugly and was always out to destroy everyone else. We never saw it as the nice, attractive person who was going out and helping and doing great things in the world, and that is just kind of how, as a society, we represent the people who make a lot of money, but that's 100% not how it has to be. Okay, and I'm sure you went to school and with your parents, and maybe one time there was the wealthy person who was dropping off their kids and had the really nice car, and they were like, oh, like, look at that person, they make $100,000 a year, right? Or 200,000. You were like, whoa, that's crazy. And that was the idea that we had planted in our head, right? I'm sure it sounds familiar. But something that I learned, and what was a big switch for me, was when I heard someone say that your biggest financial dream is somebody else's worst financial nightmare, okay? And it's this ceiling that we have on our heads, and you might be thinking like, man, if I could make $1 million in my entire life, right? That would just be the absolute best thing ever, because that's the ceiling that you have on your head, even though you might not realize it. But someone like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, they'd be thinking, man, if I just made $1 million this month, I'd probably kill myself, right? Because it means that everything is collapsed around them and it's the worst thing in the world, right? So it's a matter of that ceiling and the goals that you have in your mind of what is actually achievable. And I'm gonna show you right here in a second on my computer what it actually takes to just make $1 million brand, and how you can set it as that goal and how you can actually start working towards it. So you'll see here on the screen now, guys, this example that we have of this document that you can use when going to sell a brand that you've created on Amazon. Now, I need to let you know straight away that I didn't create this document. I was given it back when I was first learning from another entrepreneur called Adam Hudson. Check him out on Instagram. That's where I got this document from, okay? I didn't make this document, but I'll have it down in the description for you to download, so I'm not gonna go through all the nitty-gritty stuff here for you today, but you can download it so that when the time comes for you to sell a brand, you have this document here to model for your own, so you don't have to go out and pay an agency to do one up for you, or at least you don't have to pay as much because you've got this here, okay? But you can sort of see that as we go through, it has different stuff for the brand, and if you look this brand up, you're not gonna find it because this is made very similar to another brand, okay? So when you see the products, they're extremely similar, but it's still the entire concept is there, right? So as you come through, they have all the different things, giving the highlights and all this stuff you'll be able to read yourself. But the first parts I want to start with is when we get to the first products, okay? Which is right here. So straight away, first one is some little smoking wood chips, okay? They're flavored ones, you use them when you're smoking meat. But the important part you can see here is that it's only doing $9,000 a month in sales, okay? Which I know for a lot of you might be like, wait, that's not the $100,000 or the $50,000 a month that everyone on YouTube promises. And we have this false idea created that get in there, start selling straight away, and you can make $100,000 a month in your first 2 weeks, and all this bullshit and just getting you to buy the course. But what you have here is the realistic way of making the big dollars on Amazon. Okay, so you can see here, it's $9,000 a month, but where the power is now we go, look at the next ones. All right, we've got another flavor here, Applewood this time. This one's doing $11,000 a month, okay? And then this one here, another one, Sweet Bourbon, doing nearly $7,000 a month, okay? So that's 3 now, starting to add up. If we scroll down, you can sort of see where it starts to go. Another one, $4,000, $8,000 a month, okay? And each of these, as long as you're aiming for them to be profitable, they all start to add up, okay? And the thing I also want you to note, and I've spoken about this before in my videos, is how this brand clearly went deep before they went wide. Okay, now what I mean by that is, let's say they have this product first, and instead of deciding, like you can see here, they branched out into like wood smokers and like tongs and stuff. Instead of going to that straight away when they had one that was successful, they went the same product but another flavor, okay? And then another and another. So they went deep on one market, on one product, and dominated it. And then once they have that deep, they could then start to go wide into other products in the same brand. Okay, so you always want to go deep first. Maybe you do a different size, do a different color of the product that's winning, and then expand your brand later on. Okay, because now they've got these other products, 8,000, 14,000, 13,000, okay? So not these huge, big sales you always read about and you get hooked on. It's lots of these smaller ones that are consistent and they add up, okay? So this is all here, all these different products, more, all on the same brand. And then the big whammy is this one here, okay? So when you go to sell an e-commerce brand, the average multiplier that you get is 2 to 3 times its yearly profit, okay? So once you have all of these numbers start to add up, okay, all that profit adding up from all the little ones, all the multiple products, and then when you go to sell it, that's when you get that big check written out, okay? So asking, and the brand that was sold was around this amount, and you sell it for that multiple. And if you have like, you know, multiple sales channels, so maybe you've got a Shopify there as well, you've got a list of customers, maybe you're in like a Walmart or a Woolworths or whatever, right? That multiplier can go up to 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? Which is just insane to think about, but this is the kind of thing that people always gatekeep and they don't share with you because it's not as interesting and it takes a more long-term commitment than the idea of taking money from each product every month, right? But if instead you launch this first product all the way back here and you take the profit and you put it back in, okay? You keep working your job, you keep living at the cheap rent place, and you take that profit and you put it in and you launch another one, okay? Maybe then in that second year, you launch another 3 of these, okay? And you're still taking the profit and you're putting it back in, okay? People looking at you wouldn't know that you're making this tens of $1,000s a month, but it doesn't matter what they think, right? You're still working your job. You're still putting this in. You're spending the time. You got more and more and more. And then maybe after 2, 3 years, you print this document out, you go to sale, and you cash in that check for this $1 million. And suddenly everyone's like, wow, it was an overnight success. But it was because you were dedicated and you stayed disciplined. And yeah, you can take that little bit each month for like that little bit of dopamine hit. But this is where the big game is. And this is what is achievable for everyone, right? So if you feel like you're willing, you can put in that sacrifice and be disciplined for that 2, 3, 4 years in order to have this. It's totally worth it, right? So go through this document, but I hope you can now see that this is how it is much more achievable for anybody to get to that $1 million mark, right? And once you've done this, think about how many other projects you could do when you had that much capital, right? Once you've sold that first one, then you can launch another 5 brands if you wanted to. Maybe you took that money and you go into industrial real estate, or you start up with software. The possibilities are endless, right? So once you start to get through that first one, and now I've literally given you a path to do it, right? Like, I have so many free resources there, and you have this here as an example that you can have on your wall as like, I'm gonna pull myself towards this and get a big sale of it, and then you can branch into so many other things, okay? So remember, your biggest financial dream is somebody else's worst financial nightmare, and it's all about the ceiling that you put on your head. So I'm super proud of you guys for taking this step and going forward. If you want extra help or coaching from me, check the links in the description. Otherwise, there's heaps of free resources down there. Remember, you're only one product away from living the life of your dreams. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.